Ooh, that looks tasty. Folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another game review, and today we're talking about Thrones of Valeria, designed by Matt Jacobs with art by the Miko and published by Daily Magic Games. And I do apologize if I mispronounced any of those names. Now, before I get started, please make sure you turn your Klingon subtitles, because if I make any mistakes in the rules overview, that is where you will find the corrections. Now, Thrones of Valeria is another game set in the mythical kingdom of Valeria, as you can guess, and it represents kind of the big card game that's most popular in that world that they play in the taverns and stuff like that. At its core, this is a trick-taking game with a ever-changing trump suit. Now, if you are not interested in how this game is played, just want to jump into my final thoughts, then you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk about how this game works. As you can guess, each player is going to have a hand of cards, and the cards are numbered 1 through 9, though there are 3 jokers in the deck, and each of the jokers actually has its own number as well. Then, you also have coins, and coins represent points. At the end of the game, the player with the most points is going to be the winner. You'll have a draw deck, and you have these houses, tokens. And these will be randomly placed out at the beginning of the game, and they represent the order of strength of the various cards. So in this situation, the yellow house is the weakest, while the blue house is the strongest. And like with any trick-taking game, the first player is going to get to pick what the suit is, and they'll play. So let's say I played the 8 blue. And I'm going to come back and talk about how these cards work in just a minute, but just keep in mind that every time you play a card, something is going to happen on the board. Now, every other player going around the table must follow if they can. So if they have a blue, they must play a blue. If they can't, then they can start playing other cards. Now, just for the sake of argument, I'm going to actually start and say that the first player led with a red. And again, I'll talk about what it does in just a second. Now, if the next player didn't actually have a red, they could play a card from a different suit. Perhaps they play the 8 of the blue house, and that means if the hand were to end there, they would actually win because blue trumps the red. And then what they're going to win is based off whatever house the winning card came from. So even though they led with red, because blue won, they're actually going to get 5 coins. And so that also means if someone actually wound up winning the hand because everybody wound up playing red cards, and it was right here, then whoever won would actually lose a single coin. So you always have to make sure that the winning house is up top. Now, I said that every time you play a card, something is going to happen. And what I mean by that is, when you play, there's an ability that comes with each card. So for example, the blue here allows you to lock one of the houses so it can't be moved. So maybe they want to lock that, which means blue's going to remain up top unless somebody else plays an 8 of another color, and they could unlock it. The 9 here would allow you to pick a house and move up twice. So if I played that, clearly I would want to move red up too, so it's a stronger house. The 1 allows you to pick a house and drop it all the way down to the bottom. And all of the different cards have different abilities. Some of them will actually just straight up get you coins right away just by playing it. Even if you win or lose, it doesn't matter. Some will allow you to take coins from other players. In fact, there's even one that will allow you to draw more cards from the deck and then place some on the bottom and keep some. Others may allow you to get coins, but as a result of that, you actually have to discard a card out of your hand, and so on and so on. And so you're going to play around and around until any one player plays their last card. When that is done, you'll simply go through and you'll reshuffle and deal out cards again, and you'll play a second round. Whoever has the most coins at the end of the second round will be the winner. So what do I like about this game? The first thing that I like is, one, and you're going to hear me say this in 3, not quite successive videos, but in 3 videos where I talk about the Valeria games, because I've got 3 of them that I'm covering right now. I like this world that's being created. I like this idea that in this world, this is the game that people play. I like it. I really like that. I like the art style. I think the actual cards that you're playing with, I really like the art on them. I mean, there's just a deck of cards, right? But I do really like that. I also like some of the kind of the chunky things that you have, the pieces that you're using for your house. I like those as well. But what I particularly like, mechanically speaking, for this game is I really like the way that every time you play a card, it changes what the trump suit is. That to me is great. I really like it. I'm so engaged when I'm playing, and I'm engaged even more so with paying attention to what other players are playing, because I'm like, okay, how can I do this? How can I mess with this? Even when you think, well, I know that they don't have any of this suit, I don't know that they can't change the order of the suits. And to me, that makes this trick-taking game pretty special. I really do like this one. Kind of continuing on down that path, as I've already mentioned, the way that each card does something different, I really enjoy. And I love how the jokers are in there. I keep losing to the jokers or the jesters, the fools, all those things, because someone has it and they throw out the money. But I think it works really well. You never know that you can win, ever, unless you have the J3, but of course that means you're going to win 2 coins, which is not a lot, which loops into the next thing I really like, that you can set someone up to win, but because they won, they lose. Because if you're at the bottom of that hierarchy of houses, you're going to actually lose coins. I think that's just fantastic. It just makes it to where it never feels like you're out of the game, and the game does not overstay its welcome, which I just think works really, really well. So what are my quibbles with the game? I only have 2. The first one is you can play the game at 2 players. I would not play the game at 2 players. That's not fair. That's not fair. I would play the game at 2 players, but it would not be my first choice of Trick Taker to play with 2 players. I can never see a time that I would pick this game at 2 players over like Jekyll and Hyde. I would always pick that first. But if we're talking about a higher player count, then that's where I think this game shines. I think you can play it at 2, 3 players, but if you're playing at the higher player count, max player count, that's where this game really pops, because that's when you're getting the most card play, which is changing around those houses. It makes the decisions that you're making more and more interesting, and then going last becomes more and more important, while going first is good because you get to lead and pick what house you're doing, but you don't know what's going to happen all the way around. And I think it works really, really well when you get to the higher player count versus the lower player count. The other thing that I'll say is, well, I really like the cards and the art. Some of the numbers are hard to read on some of the colors. It just the yellow jumps out to me in particular. It's just hard to know what the number is on there. I wish there was like an outline or something around it. But really, folks, that's it. I think this is a good little trick taker, and it's gonna stay on my shelf. It just works. It's fast, it's easy to play, it's easy to teach, and it takes a little bit of time perhaps to learn what all the cards do, but you have icons on there and you have a little cheat sheet with you. So all in all, I enjoy this game. And there you have it, folks. That is Thrones of Valeria. I think this is one that if you are a Trick Taker fan, check it out, because it is doing something that I think is a little bit unique with the way you're moving the houses around, moving the trump suit around. I know that's kind of in vogue right now for trick takers, being never knowing exactly what the trump suit is kind of in vogue. You think of Cat in the Box, things like that. But this one, to me, it just works for me, kind of that chaotic element that's in there. So there you have it, folks. That is Thrones of Valeria. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp so I can get that into the Klingon subtitles. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.